Take you back to one of our top stories tonight. That is one of the state is arguing that Thabo Bester's alleged accomplice, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, could evade justice if she's granted bail. She's, however, claimed today in court that she was forced to flee South Africa after Bester threatened her. For more on today's proceedings, a two-day bail application for Magudumana in Bloemfontein. Let's speak to criminal law expert Ian Allis. Ian, a very good evening to you. So let me get your thoughts first on the argument that we started hearing about really a few months ago, that Nandipha Magudumana would say that she skipped the country against her own will, taken by Thabo Bester, who'd threatened her. How much do you think that'll count in her being granted bail? Is it a convincing argument?
Good evening to Makina, good evening to the viewers. First and foremost, her argument flies a little bit in the face of what she said previously in her application to have her arrest set aside and declared unlawful. This is now just another excuse, and the problem is what she's trying to do. She's trying to rely on a defense of almost a Stockholm syndrome type of defense, saying it wasn't in my control, I had a gun at my head, trying to raise the issue of duress. Because the nature of her charges and the way in how she was actually arrested, fleeing the country, do not bode well for her in her bail application. So the easiest thing for her to do now is come up with almost a psychological battered woman defense in order to try and assist her and hope to goodness that it actually works and somebody falls for this ruse. The problem is it's a little bit it comes across very farcical when you look at the last time when they were at court making Google eyes at one another and looking like they're pleading their undying love.
And how do you even begin to prove or discredit the claim that she's making? Because at this point, it would have been a conversation between the two of them, right, where these alleged threats were made and how they eventually then would have boarded a plane or whatever mode of transport they used to skip the country. It would basically be her word against his.
Precisely. Neither of them are actually that credible. It would have been one thing if she would have helped him to just escape, but the fact that she fled with him, organized the certain of the aspects of the escape with third parties, still a mystery as to whether or not she also went ahead and paid certain of those third parties. And also, the one problem that exists is that there are ancillary charges. I believe now it's been hiked up to fraud of about 23 million rand. She can't continually just say that that was in his control. At this present moment, her practice as well created quite an extensive trail of distraction. And that itself is not going to bode particularly well for her in this defense.
What happens to the overall case then, Ian, if Magudumana and Bester turn on each other?
What I suspect may end up happening is that she's going to try and enter into negotiations with the state to try and turn state evidence on him. The only thing is that they actually don't need her for any further state evidence. It's whether or not there's cooperation that she's going to be rendering. But the reality is he was already serving a life sentence because of being known as the Facebook rapist and the murders. It's not going to change anything. She's just going to try and do it to minimize her jail time, and if the National Prosecuting Authority digs its heels in, and especially looking at the fraud charges now and what happened with the body, and perhaps there might even be an escalation of charges to murder depending upon what happens, she's going to have a huge problem trying to go ahead and settle with the state and offer them any other information, unless you've got somebody else bigger and an ace up her sleeve.
That brings me to the letter then published in her name last week, where basically there was a veiled threat, if you will, to expose prominent figures in business and politics whom she claims she's been taken advantage of by these people, or people who basically abused her. When do you expect that will likely play into the court proceedings? And if indeed there were such people involved, why have we not heard about them now?
I think that this is basically a ruse of a defense. After her last application was dismissed, and it was dismissed on appeal, she's now trying to go ahead and throw everything, including the kitchen sink, in a hope to get bail. The minute she gets bail, we're not going to hear hide nor hair of her. And then it's all going to just go ahead and be smoke and mirrors. So they're going to have, so from that point of view, that's all it is a veiled threat. And I doubt there's actually any merit to what she's in actual fact saying.
She told the court today when her affidavit was read out that basically if she were granted bail, if she is granted bail, she will attend her trial or court proceedings faithfully. What would be the kind of conditions that the court would have to put or impose on Magudumana to ensure that if she is released on bail, she does not skip the country?
Well, they'd have to have her signing in regularly at a police station, surrender her passport. Those are two of the more popular ones. They can almost place her that she's got to remain at home, but that's more of an extensive punishment, because in reality all she has to do is say she has to earn a living. So it'll probably be surrendering one's passport, or in fact in her case, several passports, and reporting into the police station if they are as generous to give her bail.
Ian Allis, good to speak to you, criminal law expert. Thank you for your time tonight.